Hi guys, it's Phoebe from Who's Phoebe and welcome back to another Doctor Who video. Ignore my cat, he's fast asleep. As you know, I am doing 24 days of Doctor Who where I review 24 different Doctor Who classic stories, apart from yesterday when I reviewed The Giggle, but I will double up this weekend with 2 from one last Saturday and the Saturday before, and also I will double up on the Sunday as well to kind of make up for the 2 stories that we missed, but I'll try and do my best to double up if I can. So today's review is The Mind Robber. Now I obviously watched this from the Tales of the TARDIS perspective because I wanted to have a little bit more information, and also because The Mind Robber is 5 parts. I didn't really fancy sitting through 5 parts, so I decided what if I watch this from Tales of the TARDIS side of things, because I've got a bit more information. I can see Jamie and Zoe again in the TARDIS, and it's a bit more better because it's all kind of together in one thing, and you know, I think it's better that way. And if you've never seen my face on your screens before, please click that little subscribe button down below. And also click the notifications bell to get notifications every single time I upload. So without further ado, let's get on with this video. So, The Mind Robber. This is an interesting story, I must say. I thoroughly enjoyed this story in a way that I'd never thought before. Unfortunately, however, I felt this story was not as good as I was expecting. Because they say the Master, and originally you think, well, as someone who knows who the actual Master is, to people back then when this came out, they would have actually would have been left in mystery. But because obviously I know who the Master is, one of the Doctor's greatest enemies, I was kind of expecting this to be the Master's first on-screen appearance. Turns out it wasn't. Turns out it was just a computer called the Master. Of course, typical of Doctor Who to do this. This story was a bit up and down, I think. It was weird in some places and just didn't make sense. I know this is Doctor Who we're talking about. Doctor Who isn't meant to make sense. But my point is, it didn't make sense. Jamie had a different face, which I am not happy about. They randomly changed his face, put a different actor in his spot for literally 20 minutes and then gave him his original face back. Really not happy with the way they portrayed that. There was things like clockwork soldiers and a bunch of clockwork robots and croutons and all of that fun stuff. I enjoyed that. I thought, oh yeah, this is a great element. Unfortunately, a lot of this story was overshadowed by it all being based in a fictional world. As we know, Doctor Who is fiction. It is a TV show that came to life because of Sidney Newman, but I feel like they went too much on the fiction side of this kind of thing. I'm sorry I'm saying it. As much as I like fiction, the idea of actual fiction coming to life in a Doctor Who story, which is already a fictional show in itself, it just felt too much of fiction for my liking. As much as I did enjoy this story in every shape and form it came in, it just felt a bit too fictional for me. Clockwork Soldiers and Rapunzel really hit the nail on the head with this one. I liked Rapunzel kind of flicking her hair out to Jamie so he could climb up to get away from the Clockwork Soldiers, and then going into what seemed like this tower, but really it was a work kind of area, sort of lab, laboratory, whatever you want to call it. It definitely wasn't like I was expecting. I felt like the pacing was off as well, and this story didn't seem to know where it was heading or what it was doing. Like, there's moments with Menusa. Obviously, when my dad was little and he was sat down watching Doctor Who, this is a story he remembers with Menusa because he mentioned the snake to me he mentioned the snake head. She wasn't real. I just felt like it didn't make sense within the story itself. For people who like this, I get it. Okay, I get it. It was probably, Patrick Troughton was probably, this was probably the first Doctor Who story you saw. So back in the late 60s, you probably thought, oh yeah, this is the best. But for me, who has watched classic Doctor Who and seen this, I had mixed feelings. It's definitely not a story I would probably ever go to revisit it. And just before you ask, I sat through 1 hour and 37 minutes of Tales of the TARDIS watching this story because I wanted to do it from the Tales of the TARDIS perspective, because it, you know, personally I really enjoyed the Doctor Who spin-off of Tales of the TARDIS when it first came out 1st of November this year. So I wanted to do this from that perspective because I thought, oh yeah, it'd be better than just sitting through 5 chunks of this particular story. But yeah, it was all good, really well thought out, I thought. Patrick Troughton is of course on the role as Second Doctor, and I really enjoyed that. But the idea of them being in this wood with everything being fictional, I think what also kind of maybe topped it off for me that really annoyed me was the trees being letters. I mean, come on. Like, you could instantly tell when they were walking through trees that they were going to be words. Literally, I'm not even joking. It was pretty obvious that they were words. Like, why do that? Why do that? Like, why make it so obvious? And also, I know the computer's called the Master, but it seemed like it was going to give them an idea for a later date for a new villain when the Doctor was exiled to Earth called the Master. So it just seemed like sort of they were thinking ahead to the future when they kind of came up with this idea of a story. Now, I did thoroughly enjoy it. I thought, oh yeah, this is really, really good. Pacing was good because you had this thing that when Jamie was in this lab, you had him reading out this line of things and kind of narrating it from his side. And then you had images, and then you had like sort of scenes with the Doctor and Zoe actually doing what Jamie was reading. I thought, oh yeah, that is very, very clever. Slipping that in Doctor Who, very, very good. Now, the reason people watch Doctor Who is because it's weird, and I must admit this story does go that way, but I also think it goes into the edge of dark and also horror, a bit like The Giggle, if you want it. I've also but yeah, so yeah, I feel like it went into the section of dark Doctor Who, and I mean, there was some comedic moments in this, and the mind robber, obviously at first the TARDIS is in a bunch of volcano and the Doctor has to quickly use an emergency system which he's never used before that takes them basically out of time and space itself and into this kind of unknown world, and it tricks Zoe and Jamie. First, the scanner shows them a picture of Scotland, and secondly it shows a picture of Zoe's world, and it tempts Zoe to go outside, and then it's basically just from there a bunch of illusions, them not being themselves. When Jamie gets shot, the Doctor has to replace his face. First time round he gets the wrong face, second time it happens again, the Doctor finally puts Jamie's face back again because he first realises, oh no, I've done it wrong. So I feel like, yeah, not very. Please don't do that again, Doctor. If you do that, I will scream. If you change your character's face again, put a new actor in, yeah. I do not condone that. I do not condone doing things like that, because why would you do that? But, because obviously this is a classic story, and I don't tend to do classic story reviews for long, but overall, I really enjoyed the Clockwork creatures. I thought they were very, very, very creepy. The Clockwork Soldier in itself, brilliant design. Croutons, absolutely loved them. Hopefully one day they make a reappearance in Doctor Who, maybe with the 15th or 16th Doctors, whoever we get. So yeah, I really, really genuinely did like that, and it was such a good kind of way to start. The Jamie climbing up Rapunzel's hair, thumbs up for that. Seeing Rapunzel come to life on screen has always been something that I've really admired, but an actual actress in real life, live action, playing Rapunzel, excellent. And I think for that reason this does bump the story up. So I'm going to give this story a 6.5 out of 10, and that is me being fair. Yesterday I forgot to mention it, but I will mention it today. I'm giving McGiggle a 10 out of 10 just because that was really good. If you want to see my review, then I've made a playlist wherever YouTube puts it of all my 24 days of Doctor Who. So if you've missed any days, I've put everything, even the videos I upload today, I've put everything in an easy to go playlist so you can watch all of them in order of how I put them. So yeah, it starts obviously from, I don't actually know, but it starts from like the end of season 4 on the classics, so make sure you go hit that playlist and you can find all of them there. Oh yeah, a couple of things. I'm not a massive fan of the new Sonic screwdriver. We shouldn't even call it a screwdriver. It looks like a Sonic TV remote. I'm sorry. I've done a video on my TikTok, so I'll leave a link to that in the description down below so you can go and see. I'm going to do a more in-depth video at some point. I just kind of woke up and was tired when I did it, so I'll do a more in-depth video of why I don't like it so much. So yeah, but do go check out my playlist, and if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up if you did, and make sure you click the subscribe button down below and also hit the notification bell to get notifications every single time I upload. And in the word of the second Doctor, oh my giddy aunt.